Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about planning for your day, week, month, and year. I'm going to be showing you guys the tools that I use to make it happen, as well as the system that I've developed over the last 2 or so years to get it done, whatever it is. It's your boy Lukaya, and welcome back to the coolest corner on YouTube, where we talk lifestyle, music, and productivity, and some other things, but I've been told that I have to niche down, so here's my attempt at doing that. If this is your first video on my YouTube channel, tap the subscribe button to make sure that you catch all of my content that might be useful to you in the future. Now, planning is something that many people like the idea of, and they love the results, but getting started can be a little daunting. It's so easy to get stuck in analysis paralysis. And yes, I'm talking to you people that plan to plan to plan to plan, which is me. Today, I'll be showing you guys how I use my digital planner to plan my life and the very simple system that I've developed, to make my life happen. I first want to emphasize that you do not need to use the tools that I'm using specifically today. This system works with whatever you have, whether that's a bullet journal, Microsoft Word, a notebook, a bullet journal. I said that already. Notion. I know, Productivity Space on YouTube loves Notion, and so do I. Speaking of Notion, I'm going to show you guys the engine that keeps this entire system running towards the end of the video, because that's not really what this video is about, but you do not want to miss that, so make sure you stick around till the end. The first tool I use, or the first set of tools I use, are using it right now, my iPad and my Apple Pencil. I use these every day, every single day. For you, if you have a bullet journal, this might look like your bullet journal and your pencil, or colored pens, or whatever kind of stationery you prefer to use. If you're using Microsoft Word, this might be a specific document and your laptop. This could be the Notes app on your phone, and so forth and so on. The next thing that I use is a note-taking app. I personally love Notability. I've been using it since I was in college. But if you use GoodNotes, Evernote, OneNote, the Notes app in your phone in combination with the iBooks app, it does not matter. The system is what matters, not the tools, okay? But I'm just letting you know what I use in case you want to, make yours very similar to mine. And last but not least, I use a digital planner. Mine looks like this, and you guys will get a more in-depth look at this when we go into the system. You'll see how everything looks inside, but this is basically it. And this is a Notability app as well. If you're not sure how to import a digital planner into Notability or GoodNotes, there's lots of tutorials, but you can check my Instagram reels for how I import my digital planner into Notability sometime this week. Before we begin, I just want to talk about one more thing, and that is the concept of a big picture calendar versus a small picture calendar. I don't know if there are terms for this. This is just what I call them. Big picture calendar is something that you put your big ideas on, important dates, people's birthdays, maybe even upcoming appointments, goals that you have for the year, some deadlines for those goals, things like that. And then your small picture planner is more of the nitty-gritty, day-to-day or week-to-week kind of things. That's going to include like your to-do lists and things of that nature, okay? So I just want to make you aware of big picture calendar and small picture calendar, because I'm going to be using those words in this video quite a bit. So the system that I've developed is called the BITR system, B-I-T-R. And that acronym may need to be workshopped a little bit, but it is what it is for now, okay? And the first part of the system is the B, which is big to small. You always want to plan big to small. And when I say that, I always go from the largest period of time to the smallest period of time, which is year, month, week, day. When you're just starting out with planning, it can be very tempting to just plan tomorrow, because you have to get stuff done tomorrow. You're not, the things at the end of the year can wait, right? But think about it this way. Have you ever seen a vegetable sorting machine, like, to sort onions or blueberries by size? The way they sort it is all the fruit is put on a conveyor belt, and they pass through a series of grates with different sized holes. And they start with the biggest hole to let the smaller blueberries fall through, and then it traps the big ones and separates those. And then the medium and small go to the next grate, which has a little bit smaller holes to trap the medium ones, and the small blueberries fall through to the next conveyor belt and the next grate. And there you have your blueberries sorted evenly, large, medium, and small. If you tried to do this process in reverse, you'd end up with all the blueberries at the end. If you tried to sort the small first, it wouldn't work, and you'd end up with all the blueberries in the bucket that you started with at the beginning of the conveyor belt. And planning works the same way. You want to take care of your big picture things first, and then filter your smaller and more detailed plans through as you go. For me, this looks like having a yearly calendar, a weekly calendar, and a daily calendar. Some people will only need yearly and daily. Some people will only need monthly and daily. It really depends on what you've got going on in your life and how you plan to accomplish them. So let's talk yearly goals. Every year I plan my goals for the year first. Big picture things that I want to accomplish. These aren't tasks or things to add to my to-do list. These are usually smarter goals. If you do need help with goal planning, you can click here or here, the card will be somewhere, to watch my video on how to set smarter goals. So pause this video, go watch that one, and get started setting your goals. And then once you're done, come back to this video and catch up with us. So on this yearly spread, I'm gonna go through my entire year. I'm gonna use my smarter goals and enter them onto my yearly calendar. Now, if you already set smarter goals and you have milestones or deadlines that you want to reach, you can also add those to this big picture calendar. Continuing on this trend, in your monthly spread, you're going to include more specific things like doctor's appointments or birthday parties that you have to attend. If you're in college, this might look like penciling in your exam dates that have already been set on your syllabus, a club meeting that you have to attend, or that spring break trip that you're trying to make happen. And you continue this trend through as many spreads as you have. But remember, you want to keep it as simple as possible. So I recommend 1 to 3 spreads. You do not need yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, hourly, minutely. You want to keep this as minimal as possible. And just because the pages are in your planner, it doesn't mean that you have to use all the pages in your planner. Now that we've got the concept of planning big to small covered and my light behind me has perished, I'm going to take you guys onto my iPad so I can show you guys what that looks like, as well as tackle the other 3 parts of the biter system. Okay, so now we are on my iPad, and I think you guys should be able to see at least a circle of me. This is what my planner looks like, and I got this on Etsy for about $13 or so, and there's digital planners all over the internet. You can get them literally anywhere, and there's free ones as well. Now, this planner specifically has a yearly, or I should say, well, yes, there is a yearly spread. I don't use the half calendar spread. Like I said, just because the planner has lots of pages in it doesn't mean you have to use all of those pages, and I certainly don't. I do use the yearly overview every now and again, but not so much. What I really use is the monthly calendar, which some people could consider yearly, which is this, my yearly spread. So I will put in dates, and I'm just going to use March as a template for you guys because that's the next month coming up. So I know that my birthday is on March 11th, so I'm going to enter that here. And Notability is just really handy. You can use it for a lot of stuff. So my birthday, and let's just say I had a doctor's appointment on the 15th. Well, this is my dad's birthday. And on the 31st, let's say that I'm gonna have goal 1 deadline, whatever your goal is. Maybe it was your goal to save, $2,000 by March 31st for the year, right? So this is your goal 1 deadline, and so forth and so on. And I do that for the entire year. I'll go April, May, June, July. You get the point, right? I'll show you guys what the monthly spread looks like. I don't use this page, but it might be useful to someone to have, have it look like this. This is what I would call a monthly spread. Like I said, I don't use it very much, but some people might find it, helpful to set goals here and stuff like that. Maybe put a vision board in some area like this. I do not use this because it's just kind of overkill to me, especially when there are weekly spreads available. So that's what I'm gonna get into, the weekly spreads. And I'll show you guys how I use my weekly spread, which is kind of interesting. Every week I do fill out this weekly spread, and I use this mainly for content that I'm going to consume. This is how I fill out my weekly spread, and it doesn't look like this every week, but lately this is what I've been doing. And my weekly spread also has a habit tracker, which I love. I don't aim to do all of these things every day, but the things that I do, actually I did this today. I did do my morning routine today, but and I did do my evening routine last night. I don't aim to do each of these every day, but I do have specific intervals that I want to do each of them. For example, my morning routine and evening routine is an everyday thing, but writing in my journal is not. I just do it when I feel like it, but I like to keep track of it so I know when I did it, and I know when the last time I did it is, if I want to go read something from my journal. I use this weekly spread to keep track of any shows that I'm watching, podcasts that I'm watching, as well as movies. As you can see, I don't have any movies scheduled for this week, but I do have shows, and these are only shows that are on TV right now. So I don't like to fall behind in them. So this week I watched Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, Euphoria, The Bachelor, because one of my friends dragged me into it, and it's terrible. This is Us, Abbott Element. This is not about TV shows, but anyways, this is probably more of the actual important things that I have on my weekly spread. And what I do is I don't usually put a day on these in my weekly spread, but I'll tell you when I enter them into my daily spread. I could have written these things down at any point. I could have added these to my weekly spread 2 months ago, or a week ago or yesterday. Depends on whenever the thing comes up and when I decide I want to accomplish it. But this brings us to the second part of the biter system, which is the I, and it stands for immediate entry. Whenever I think of something, I enter it into my planner immediately. Even if it's not in the right place, even if it's not a complete thought, I enter it immediately immediately because I'm the type of person that remembers that I had something to do but forgets what it is. And this is a huge part of the reason why I transitioned to a digital planner, because I have this on my phone, laptop, iPad. I have either one of those with me at all times. So when I think of something, I can always immediately put it in. If you don't have a digital planner, you always have your phone with you. So maybe you can use the Notes app as kind of like a holding dock for all of your ideas and shows that you want to watch and anything that you want to get done. You can add it to that holding space, whatever you choose for it to be, and you can enter them on your planner when you get home that evening. But it literally drives me insane when I remember that earlier I remembered that I had something to do, but now I can't remember what I remembered it was earlier. Whether it's a long-term goal, bucket list item, upcoming appointment, or just what you want to make for dinner tomorrow, write it down. Now I'm going to move into my daily spread, and this is where most of the magic happens. So we're gonna pretend like tomorrow is March 1st, and I always fill out my daily planner the day before. So I'm gonna fill out my planner for tomorrow tonight. So here my daily spread, I actually copied one of my recent daily spreads, and this is how it looks. So the thing I love about this specific planner is it gives you a lot of space to write things, and I'm a person that loves to write things. I'm gonna pretend like I didn't complete any of these tasks. Speaking of immediate entry, I just remembered that I need to choose my YouTube video for next week today. So I'm gonna add that here as soon as I think about it. And also tomorrow I need to script that video. So here I'm going to enter script YouTube video, and I'm gonna enter it in the top priority sections because scripting takes a long time for me. Now that isn't a perfect entry, but I just remembered it, so I want to put it in for tomorrow, and however it gets there is great. And we'll fix it when we plan for that day the night before. The next part of the biter system, which you might have already noticed, I took some of it off because I didn't want to give it too much away, is time descriptive entries. What is a time descriptive entry? A time descriptive entry is putting a time on how long you're going to spend doing something instead of just putting the task by itself. Making my to-do list time descriptive takes away the pressure of having to complete an entire task and helps you to overcome productivity inertia, which is our tendency to avoid tasks because we're anxious about how long it's going to take or how much effort we're going to have to put into completing that task. If you only commit to 30 minutes of doing something, that's not a huge commitment. You know, you can put in 30 minutes and then be done. Our brain will see spend 45 minutes editing YouTube video as a lot less threatening than edit YouTube video. And completing this to-do list looks a lot more daunting than completing this one. Committing to a finite value is much more actionable than committing to an unknown value. There is fear in mystery. Who likes to not know? Your brain certainly doesn't. And most times you'll end up completing the task because once you enter that state of workflow and the editing ideas are flowing and the creative juice is going, productivity inertia just isn't an issue anymore. But even if you strictly stick to the 45 minutes of editing, the task now becomes a rollover task. And rollover tasks is, I don't know if this is an idea that I've created, I doubt it, but it is something that I made up a name for. So now rollover tasks and time descriptive entries go hand in hand, but let's first talk about what a rollover task is. A rollover task is the last part of this productivity system. Some of the tasks on your to-do list are going to be non-negotiable, but a lot of tasks, especially if we start them when we initially plan to, they are eligible to be rollover tasks. For example, the task of organizing files on my computer. This could be something that could take you hours or even days. But if we know that it's a rollover task, when we don't complete it in one sitting, we're not left with the disappointment of having an incomplete task on your to-do list. You still get the very satisfying feeling of crossing it off and ending your day feeling accomplished. So after I've spent those 30 minutes, or if I spend an hour and I'm still not done, I still get to cross this off. However, tomorrow, it is going to be a task on my to-do list again. The priority might change, so I might move it down here. It might not be such a high priority item, or it might be. It all depends on how you want to handle it. Not to mention that when the actual deadline for that task does come, you can put in the last 30 minutes of work that you have left to do, go to bed at a decent time, and not spend the next day groggy and tired and worry about if there were questions on the backside of the assignment that you were completing last night because you fell asleep, but you got it a week ago, so now you feel guilty and you have to spend your entire drive to school paying attention to the road and your assignment because you still have 2 proofs left on the backside of the sheet that you messed that you missed last night. And I mean, I still got an A, but not a good idea. Just to finish out the tour of my daily spread, as you can see over here, I have all the media that I consume, not on this day. This is something that I move over to every day. So this is all the media that I'm consuming currently. Shows that I'm watching, movies that I plan to watch soon, podcasts that I plan to listen to soon, books that I'm reading right now. And also, how could I forget my artist of the week? This week, it is none other than Tough Gong himself, Robert Nesta Marley. Okay, I've been listening to his discography and it's just such a cool body of work. As you can see, I have my morning routine here, rough daily schedule. These are things that I just do during the day, my evening schedule, and just some reminders. The reason I have these here is because when I do, as I'm planning and I'm going through my day, when I do have some empty slots, I don't have to worry about if I want to watch a show and which show I want to watch and which movie I want to watch. I just pick one from here. So these are shows that are not currently on TV that I'm just watching. So I'm currently finishing up Survivor season 4, which is not good. But if I notice I have a dead spot, I'll put it there. And then, and this is how I keep this system going. So after I'm done with today, it'll probably look something like this. And I would like to say as well, even though these tasks down here are not time descriptive, they can be rollover tasks too. So, well, actually one of them is. And then I have these checklists over here. So my morning routine, I don't have to worry about remembering what to do. My evening routine, also the same. So once I've done this, I'm gonna have some things that I didn't complete today. Every day I have things that I never get to. Sometimes it's just one thing, sometimes it's many things. So I'm just gonna copy that as well and move it on to the next day. And I do wanna say this, rollover task does not have to be written as time descriptive. It can just be something that you didn't get to today, but it's not a non-negotiable, right? And usually my non-negotiables are in this space, but sometimes, as you can see, they still get negotiated. So to recap the biter system, we've made planning big to small a habit. We've made making immediate entries a habit. We use time descriptive entries where necessary and as much as possible. And finally, we've talked about making use of rollover tasks. It's just 4 simple things to remember. Now, earlier I mentioned that there is kind of an engine that keeps this system going, and I'll show you guys briefly. Super simple, but without it, I would literally not get anything done. So now we're gonna go to my Notion setup. So here's my Notion dashboard, and I have most of it blurred out because I'm gonna do a deep dive into my dashboard, but I really only wanna show you guys one section, which is this recurring tasks database that I have at the top of my Notion dashboard. This is the first thing that I do every day once I do my morning stretching routine and my devotion. This is the next thing I do before I eat, before I go to walk the dog, before I do anything. This is where I go, because if I don't check this, then I will forget many things. And I'll show you examples of what I have in this recurring tasks database. These are only tasks that are interval based, which means I either do them every week, every month, every 3 days, something like that, okay? As you can see for today, I have choose and script my next YouTube video, which I've already added to my planner because I checked this morning, right? As you can see, it's due tomorrow, and the next due is February 25th. So the way this works is and by the way, I got this from Thomas Frank, who is a great productivity YouTuber. I will tag his video on this in the description, which is where I got this database and where you can get it as well. I didn't code this myself, but he made a template and I find it to be so useful. I'll just open this to all the tasks. So this is everything. As you can see, choose and script next YouTube video. I do that every Friday, which is the 18th, and the next Friday after that's the 25th, right? So once I'm done with that, when I've completed, well, let's change it to today. Let's imagine that it was today. Let's say it was the 17th. I'll have to change it back. As you can see, the state turned green, which means that I have to, if I see a green circle and if I go back to my today view, it'll be green, right? Once I complete it, I'm gonna change the due date to the 24th and you'll see what happens. Disappears, it goes away. And on the 23rd, it'll come back into this table because I have them show up on my today view a day before, because like I said, I planned today yesterday. So on February 23rd, or whatever the date was, one day before it's actually due, it'll show up on my today view once more with a blue circle. And then if I continue to use that as my example, let's say that I was supposed to do it yesterday, which is the 16th. It's gonna turn red. So red tells me that it's overdue. And overdue things, I have things show up in my today view up to a week past due, because sometimes I just don't get to do it and I still need to complete it. So let's say it was due yesterday. If I complete it today, I'm just gonna click this due date and change the date to February 23rd like I'm supposed to, and then it goes away. So that's kind of how this database works. So first things first, let me fix what I did change, because that still needs to be done tomorrow, which is the 18th. okay? But you can see the kind of things that I have here. Choose and script next YouTube video, film YouTube videos. This is something I do every week. Weekly goal check-in. So I check in with my goals every week on Sundays. I update my entertainment databases on Notion every Sunday as well. I start editing my YouTube video every Monday, which is the 21st. That's when the next one will be done. That's when I'll start the next one. Then I also have a midweek reassessment of, you know, just how things are going. Am I completing the goals that I set for this week? I do that every Wednesday. And then I also have a monthly review, which is at the end of every month. As you can see, February 28th is when this is due. That's when I just go over my month, things that work, things that didn't work, things that I want to keep, things that I want to change. And then monthly overview is something I do at the beginning of every month. And this is kind of like my goals for the month. I don't really plan, like I said, I don't really use the monthly spread specifically, but I'll go in my yearly spread and look at the month of March and enter things in case I missed anything. Because, you know, when I'm initially entering things in my yearly spread, you're bound to forget things, okay? And also I just use that time to update my goals in general, which is a page that I have also in my planner, and I'm gonna stop boring you guys with this boring information. But this is the engine that keeps everything going. If I don't do these things, I do not use my planner. So this is kind of like something you want to do every day. So if you don't use Notion, this can look like setting timed reminders on your phone. You know, you could even say, hey Siri, remind me tomorrow, or hey Siri, remind me every Sunday at 5 p.m. to check in with my goals or to assess my, you know, workout plan or whatever the case may be. And Siri's actually doing it for me and I didn't need that. So never mind Siri. So this is like the engine that keeps me going. It reminds me when to check on my...
Okay.
It reminds me when to check on my goals, when to assess, when to update, things like that. So this is almost an automated system. It really takes the pressure off having to remember to check my planner, or having to remember to enter things, or having to remember to update. Am I on episode 7 of Peaky Blinders or am I on episode 5? I don't have to remember because it's all here. And you know, this video could literally be 45 minutes long because in addition to this, there are checklists that I use, routine. We could talk about the benefits of a routine and further automation to help support the biter system, but this is really a good launch pad for so many wonderful things. So guys, that's it. That is the biter system. Remember, it's important to keep it simple. A little of what you've seen today has taken me, you know, months, even years to fine tune for the way that I like to get things done. And I've tried using every single kind of planning system you can think of. I've used physical planners, disc-bound planners with unlimited insertable spreads. I've used digital planners, I've used Google Calendar, I've used Trello, I've used so many things. And I can tell you, there might be other aspects of different planners that you might want to integrate into the one that you choose to start with, but they don't all work at once. Also, I really want to stress that having a great planning system doesn't mean that you'll make every deadline. It does mean that you will probably decrease the amount of deadlines you miss, but we're human and life happens, and sometimes it really happens. And you're gonna miss some deadlines, you're gonna forget some things. But hopefully the biter system will help you to get back on track as soon as possible. If you do give the biter system the old college try, let me know how it went for you. Also, I'm gonna be working on some digital planners and other digital content of my own. So let me know what kind of spreads you would like to see. Maybe a habit tracker, a workout tracker, you know, meal plan section, anything like that, you know, devotion section. Anything that you'd like to see in your planner, let me know in the comments below. I'd really love to see what people are interested in. Anyways, I've had such a fun time sharing with you guys. And maybe sometime soon we can talk about, you know, Notion and routines and checklists and all the great productivity stuff. But I'm sure this video is already long enough. So if you found value in this content, leave a like. Or, you know, if you want to save it for later, I'll just add it to your tab. Until then, peace, love, Goombay. When you're just getting out with starting and the small ones, go watch that one and get started setting your goals. And then once you're done, come back to this video and we can catch up with us. Or that spring break trip, or that spring break trip that you're trying to make happen. I'll go April, May, June, July, September, October, November, December. You get, I feel like I skipped a few months just now, but you get the point, right? For all of your things, for all of your, so we're gonna, and most times, actually, you're gonna complete it. Like I mentioned, you're gonna, and finally, we've also made use of the concept. And finally, we've also talked about making use of the concept of what are you? And finally, we've also talked about what a And finally, we've also talked about